Hey everybody, and welcome to episode 10 of our Let's Play Planet Coaster series. Today, we are going to be finishing off basically our little Mexico section by adding in our second roller coaster to the area. And not gonna lie, in the last video we had put out to comment what the name would be in the chat, and I think those of you watching, or if you watch, probably saw not a whole lot of stuff in the chat. So just it tends to happen to be that way every now and then. But I went on ahead and decided to name this one anyways. And we are going to be calling this one the Chupacabra. Yes, the Chupacabra. The mythical, not mythical. Let's forget mythical, you know. Let's just say the mangy beast that is the Chupacabra. And for those of you who don't know, the Chupacabra, when it came about, really is kind of an alien type of four-legged beast, really. And man, it didn't. People didn't really discover, and I say discovered because they found some animals dead, not discovered because hey, we captured it, but farmers would come out in the morning or in the evening time and see generally a dead goat or sheep or calf or something. And it always happened to be smaller animals. Even at one point, it was chickens and things like that that had basically had 2 or 3 or 4 little puncture holes where teeth would be, and it had been drained of its blood essentially. And so that's how Chupacabra got its name. It roughly translates to goose, or not goose, but goat sucker or something like that. Not really sure. It's been a while since I've taken the Espanol courses, but that's kind of what brought about for this coaster. Now, how is this thing inspired, you may say? You'll find out afterwards whenever we start putting in some of the areas around this coaster. So stay tuned for that, as that'll be coming up here in just a little bit. And those we will be constructing, like I said, not just in a little bit, but kind of once we get the coaster layout design done, and we are going to get the station work done, some of the foliage work finished off for not just around this ride, but in the section, pretty much in the whole section. So right now, what we're seeing is going to be generally one of my favorite elements that we have on this ride is passing through the loop. Now, doing that, I had a wee bit of difficulty because I knew I had to make it go up, but I didn't want it to lose too much speed because it was already kind of going up on that. They call it I don't know. It's like a loop laid down on its side, right? It's basically like a gigantic helix, but the helixes that they have labeled as a helix are these things that are very tight turns that go up and not essentially, they don't come off as a real helix to me on all the rides I've been in that have them. So that's kind of why I generally like going with the loop that lays itself on its side, because it's generally more realistic in that sense, and it works out better. So, all right, just doing a quick little ride through. It's going to be going pretty quick. Now, I'm not sure if I know there's not a POV of this ride at regular speed. You will get cinematics of our 2 roller coasters that we have here, El Cucuy and then the Chupacabra, at the end of this video, so stay tuned for those. But right now, I'm going through the fun process of smoothing the ride. Everybody that's played this game knows it's a very rough thing to do. You know what I mean? It's quite hard. Well, not hard. It just takes a long time. It's one of those things that you kind of it does make it better. I've never made mine perfectly smooth, and really, you don't get a whole lot of them that are perfectly smooth either. Now that may be just because the only theme parks I go to are um, Fiesta Texas and Six Flags Over Texas. So, I mean, if you think about it with the Iron Rattler, as smooth of a ride as it is, since it's not full wood and just doesn't beat the hell out of you anymore, it's still there. A lot of those twists and turns that are really fun elements, and the zero G roll, awesome elements, but they whip you around because you're going at such speeds. The Wonder Woman lasso coaster. I enjoyed it. It wasn't my favorite, but that thing turns you so tight. And maybe it's because it's in such a confined area, but you're taking such tight turns that you're being kind of jostled around and tossed around a little bit. And so that's what I kind of put into my coasters. It's not going to be a perfectly smooth thing. You're going to feel the G's, and you're probably going to get tossed around a little bit. You're not going to feel like you just stepped out of the ring with Mike Tyson or something, but you're going to feel it. Okay, I think that's pretty much a given at this stage of the game. So we are, after this section, just so you'll know, we only have 2 more sections to go. What are the idea behind possible theming and all that? I have no idea. I can tell you, I know I want to have at least 1 giga coaster, over 300 foot. That's what I want. How will that work out? I'm not exactly sure. Where will it go? I don't know. There's a whole lot that I don't know, but the one thing that I do know is that I want me a giggy, okay? A giga coaster. And so we will be building that into the park in the future episodes. Yeah, that's kind of where our park is at right now. And really, yeah, I know I mentioned in the last, shoot, I think I've mentioned it every episode that there's always lots of changes that get made. And so the buildings from the last episode being built right next to Cucuy have been moved. Some of the foliage work, I replaced it. I'm going to end up changing that even some because also in this episode I do make the sign for the Cucuy. So that's kind of one of those things. Now I will be, since we are coming closer to the completion of the park. At some point, I need to do a couple things. One of them is going to be put lights around. I obviously need to do lighting. I need to do more detailing. So filling in some of the empty spots with some plant work or so vending machine, something like that. I need to fill in some of those blank spots. But I also need to put in fencing. Those are the things I always put off to the end because, my God, do they take what feels like the longest ever. You know what I mean? It is ridiculous. But that episode will be coming probably in a few weeks, would be my guess. Like I said, it's still got 2 more sections to go. I don't think I'm going to stop and do that work in between then. So just keep a watch out for that. If you like the detailing type of stuff, that is a coming. If you're looking at these episodes and going, my God, this man's missing so much stuff, don't worry. I will have it covered. All right. So just making the station. My idea behind this station, not your stereotypical farmhouse type of setup. It's, let's just say, I guess, a more modern type of brick house. No, I'm just kidding. It has the idea of being a farmhouse type of setup. That was my thought when I built it. Whether that actually comes through, a little of this, a little of that. But I do like how I have it set up with the brick base, then the wood pole structure that comes out of them, and that way it'll end up holding up the roof structure. And that's really how I like most of my stations. They are going to be, I guess you could say, basic looking, but they're, 1, serviceable. 2, it's really how I prefer my stations in real life. I live in Texas, right? I go to the theme parks in Texas, and people generally from the South, whether it be Florida, Georgia, any other state in the South that we have that has a theme park, if you're going in to an enclosed queue line or an enclosed station, they had better be pumping that AC in there because it is going to be real hot real quick. And so that's why I kind of like mine to be open. Everyone that I've been on that's had an open station has generally been quite enjoyable. Then you have times where you go to, say, Six Flags Over Texas, and on the Mr. Freeze ride, the AC, oddly enough, is broken. So you're not getting really air. And they do have fans, but blowing, 90-degree hot air is, well, it's blowing 90-degree hot air. There's nothing special about it. It's quite irritating and annoying, to be honest with you. So that does happen. But that's why I like mine to be open. That's why you won't see me doing a whole lot of closed up queue lines or a whole lot of closed up, stations and all that. So that's kind of my theory behind how I like to build my stations generally. And that's kind of how I work with it from there. All right, so what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to let y'all finish watching some of this designing while I might play some sweet jazzy tunes for y'all. So enjoy those, and I will catch back up with y'all a little bit later in the clip. So I'll be right back, everybody. And I am back, everybody. Hope y'all enjoyed those nice little tunes for you. All right, so you notice there's the Chupacabra sign in the entry building, so it didn't really go too elaborate on the sign. However, as I'm looking at it at this very moment, yes, it's going to change. I'm going to probably try to build a font or something that says Chupacabra all the way across that building. It just seems like this ride deserves that. It just seems like it needs so much more. If you look at the queue cover, the station, it deserves to have a good sign. Probably sitting on top of that building would be best. So here I am doing the foliage work. Right now, I just kind of like to outline my areas where I have the foliage to try to fill in some spaces. One, because I'm not sure if I'm going to put in another flat ride there. That's why it kind of gets shut off like that. And I don't fill in the gap all the way. But two, like I said, I'm working on a laptop. The more stuff there is there to see, the kind of harder it can become for the laptop to actually run the game. There I am mixing in those nice little autumn trees into it. I do just really enjoy those, I must admit myself. Alright, here I am putting down some bushes, and this is when I start thinking, ooh, this is Chupacabra. I need some semi-farmhouse looking buildings in here. The bushes are nice, but, how are anybody going to know that you're the Chupacabra running around these farm buildings and these farm areas, killing up goats and chickens and calves and everything, if you ain't got no farmhouse? Basic. And these are not anything too extravagant. Remember, you're going to be seeing them on the ride, but you're going to be whipping through there at 30 plus miles an hour. So it's not something that we really want to get overly detailed about. So that's why they are kind of more or less just pretty basic type of buildings as far as their design. I do try to keep things a little interesting when it comes to mixing up the height of them, the roofing, and all that type of stuff. But overall, they are pretty dang basic. And I did do a ride through, and I can tell you, after the time it took to put these bad boys in, unless you're looking, so unless I'm turning the camera towards them, I can't really see them, That's just kind of one of the things, is they're really hard to see. Whipping by on one of these coasters. I thought about having part of the track go through one of the houses, and I still may do that. Don't get me wrong. Try to build, I guess, a stable, more or less, and have it go through there. I don't know. I'm thinking about it. Let me know in the comments what y'all think. If that would really work, or does it need to have that type of flyby moment? Is that really worth taking the time to put in? I don't know. I'm kind of geared up for it, but at the same time, it's one of those. I don't know if I want to get into that one. Because if I do build it, you do kind of, if you're going to put the coaster going through it, and you're doing the idea of, hey, this is a farmhouse type situation, or you're going through a stable, it's one of the, you kind of have to take that into account going forward. So, All right, and just a little bit of news for y'all as well, for those who are followers of the channel. Right now, you probably have noticed the Black Knight series and Bubba Champion in the UFC has kind of taken a falling off. Because I've been kind of working on these right now. We're Planet Coaster, and then the new Planet Zoo series that we have started, which you should expect to see a new Planet Zoo video come out next week. Don't worry, I do have it on the schedule to be able to put out Bubba Champion in the cage, as well as a franchise and face of the franchise for the new Madden 21. I don't know what franchise I'm going to do yet. I normally like teams that are going to be a struggle and harder to actually gain success from. So that's kind of what I'm looking for when I do a franchise mode. As you could tell with the Black Knights and it being the dang Buffalo Bills, for God's sakes, that I moved to England. That one's been rough enough. Only 7 weeks in, I'm still 3-4, but I'm kind of getting a feeling for it. So we'll see how it goes. Hopefully they fix some of the broke things that Madden has in it. Everybody knows what I'm talking about. So yeah, but other than that, let's see, what other news do we have here? Yeah, right now, forget the news. Right now, I can tell you what I'm looking at this point. I was thinking about putting a little farmhouse building right where that small little break area was. But instead, I just decided to build up the terrain a little bit to kind of put a wall type situation there, more or less. The Giga Coaster is probably going to have to run past that, but I don't want to expand the park too far as far as things to fill in. So I got one section that will be there, and the other section will be right over here next to our wing coaster and our vertical drop coaster. So here I am, as I say, fixing the foliage by removing the foliage from our vertical drop coaster. And I thought trees maybe, but then, like I said, no, most of the rides that I go on, unless they're specifically designed to have a tree in that one part, they don't have a lot of trees that go through them. You might get some bushes or something like that, or maybe some grass, but it's generally going to be, really thin cut grass, dead grass, and some bushes at most. So that's kind of what I was doing there. I did enclose that area some with the trees going around. So, and then once again, kind of finishing that section off. I should be starting the sign pretty quickly. I don't know what that was that made me pause. There's a little key stickage ever since the kids have been back at school virtually. They have to use this laptop every now and then. And now some buttons stick. So, all right. And how do I make my sign? I think I mentioned it the last time. I'm not exactly sure. I'm assuming I did. But I'll go over it again. So to keep the axis for whenever you have to do the advanced move tool, me personally, I always like, it's hard to keep it if you just do scenery pieces alone. It doesn't capture every single one and all that type. It's really kind of a wonky system how that works. So I always take just a simple little 1 meter post that's on the grid and just sink that bad boy into the ground, and then I'll start building my sign from there. This one does go through some minor alterations here in a moment, and that's mainly because as I'm going through, I start trying to look at doing the C with the small little blocks, figuring, okay, maybe I can get a more, smoother looking C out of it. And God bless the people that actually go through the time to make fonts and Planet Coaster and even the Planet Zoo. If you find a good one, you need to be sure to let them know about it, because that stuff is a pain. As you can tell, I gave up after like 2 or 3 blocks. I said, nope, I'm done with this. Not dealing with it. No mas. I'm just going with the more basic type setup. And I'm sitting there looking at the color of the coaster, the black and the yellow. And so these will get recolored as we go through. But I started, see, here I am changing this one over to black. And it's kind of just, all right, let's get this bad boy done and pushed out and get it to look right. And I do end up being really pleased with this sign, where it's at, how it's posted up, the coloring of it. I really do enjoy this one. I think that one went out pretty dang well. And thank God it was called the Cucuy. A lot of repetition, right? So there I am copying over the CU. The CU. The Y gives me some fits because I don't know how to do really a Y like that to make it look super good like a lot of people. So I just give it my best shot, and that's what I say about Planet Coaster. Regardless of if you know how to do something or not, just give it your best. You know what I mean? Just give it your best, and that's all you can really ask, right? So that's kind of what I do there. I will get a couple of the bigger flat pieces type setups to sit behind it. Actually, no, not this time. I go with the wood planks. Ooh, I kind of impressed myself. It's been a while since I've done this recording. I am impressing myself, I will say. All right, so going with the wood planks I am. Well done by me. All right. And you'll see I extended over there to the left to make sure the E's covered up. I might as well just go and bring them on. Let's change the coloring. Get these bad boys. That way it's actually pretty well highlighted. I really enjoy how this sign turned out. Yes, I know I'm talking about it a lot, but it's because I impressed myself. What can I say? What can I say? So here I'm getting ready to move the sign and put it into position. So wait a second. I forgot to delete my post. So instead of doing all that, I did delete the post at some point, I believe. Yep, there it is. And so now what I do is I go ahead and get these basically as braces. That's what the purpose they're serving. The sign is they're going to be braces to hold the sign up, and then I'll get some of the bushes to kind of, I don't know if I'd say cover them up so much, but maybe just at least a little bit cover them up, to make it look like it's more naturally fitting there, right? That's kind of what I was doing on that. Had some wood clipping through from these little stands behind it, so trying to angle it to prevent that as much as possible. And then here I go, putting in the cement base that would naturally be at the bottom of a sign or something like this, right? So this is our El Cucuy sign that we have for our vertical drop coaster here in the Little Mexico section. And you'll see me coming through. Here I am grabbing the bushes. I like that little scaviola stuff. I think that's what it's called. It's SC. That's how I find it. Every time I go and I open up the bushes and I hit search and I type in SC and boom, that pops up. So that's how I like it. It's one of my favorite ones to use. I use it in my planters a lot and everything like that. So here I am. Probably got distracted by the kids or something. I don't know. It tends to happen when you have 5 kids and all that stuff. Just putting in some plants to try to dress up that area just at least a little bit. And then I had these little breaks in the pathing. I wanted to make it wider, not like it, because I'm going to have hundreds of people coming through here. No, I wanted to make it wider just because it seemed too tight. And as tight as, maybe the roads are in Mexico, at least in Piedras and all that, they still have highways. There's still generally enough space to drive, but there would not be enough space to really walk in this section. So that's why I want to cover those up to kind of get that out of there. They weren't big enough to put plants in. So I just took the cement post, laid it down, and that was all she wrote for it. All right. So I'm thinking about trying to put the fencing around here. You can see, make kind of a really lazy attempt at it. Say, nope, not going to happen. And I realized how long that recording was getting, and so I said no need to do any of that type of stuff. So here we are, getting ready to go into the cinematic shots. So as always, remember to like and subscribe, and I will leave y'all alone for these wonderful cinematics. So as always, everybody, stay safe, and later, y'all.